warm, calm tone. Never imagined that one simple renovation could change my family's history forever. It was a quiet spring morning, sunlight streaming through the dusty windows, the faint smell of sawdust in the air. Workers moved carefully through my grandmother's old house, tearing down the walls that had stood for decades. Reflective tone. This house was more than just wood and brick. It was the heart of our family. I remembered running through these hallways as a little girl, hearing Grandma call us to dinner, hearing the creak of the stairs when Grandpa came home from work. Now it was silent, as if holding its breath, waiting to reveal something it had kept hidden for years. Narrative, curious tone. Then it happened. One of the workers called out, "Ma'am, you might want to see this." I walked over, dust still floating in the sunlight, and there it was, a yellowed envelope, wedged behind an old wooden beam. The paper was fragile, edges curling with age. My heart began to beat faster. Soft suspense. I brushed off the dust and read the front. It was addressed to my grandmother, Bo, dated 1964. I swallowed hard. My cousin Sarah came over, her hands covered in paint from helping with the walls. Her eyes widened when she saw what I was holding. "Open it," she said softly, almost afraid of the words. I sat down at the old kitchen table, the same table where we had shared Sunday meals years ago. With shaking hands, I opened the envelope and slid out a folded letter. The ink had faded, but was still readable. Emotional buildup. It was written by my grandfather, just weeks before he left our family and disappeared from our lives forever. I took a deep breath and began to read aloud. "My dearest, I have carried a burden for too long. The child we have raised as our son is not mine. I cannot live under this lie any longer." Shock. Sarah gasped, covering her mouth with her hand. "Does this mean Dad wasn't Grandpa's son?" I nodded slowly. The room felt heavy, as though the house itself had fallen silent to hear this truth. Tense tone. That night, we called a family meeting. The house was full again. My father, Aunt Linda, Uncle John. Everyone gathered around that same kitchen table. The letter lay between us, like a wound that had been uncovered. Serious tone. My father picked it up, his fingers trembling. He read it silently, then put it down and said quietly, "I always knew something was wrong." Grandpa never looked at me the same way he looked at my sisters. Linda's eyes filled with tears. Mom must have been so scared. Maybe she thought telling us would destroy the family. Uncle John slammed his hand on the table. Or maybe she just wanted to protect her secret. All these years, she lied to all of us. Rising conflict. Voices began to rise. John accused Grandma of betrayal. Sarah defended her. My father stared at the letter, silent, his face pale. Finally, I stood up. Enough. Everyone fell quiet. This letter is the truth. It was hidden for decades, but it found its way to us. We can't change what happened, but we can decide what to do with this truth now. Slower tone. The room grew still. Even the clock seemed to stop ticking. For a moment, it felt like Grandma herself was there, waiting for our answer. Calmer tone. At last, my father spoke. "This changes nothing. I am who I am. I had a father who raised me, even if he wasn't my blood, and I had a mother who loved me enough to bear this secret alone." Sarah reached over and squeezed his hand. Slowly, everyone's anger seemed to fade. Ending 1. Healing. We placed the letter back in its envelope. Rather than destroy it, we kept it. A reminder of the truth and of the cost of secrets. In that moment, I felt closer to my family than I had in years. The house felt lighter, as though it had finally let go of its burden. Ending 2. Division. But John couldn't bear it. He pushed his chair back and stormed out, swearing he'd never forgive their mother for the lie. The rest of us sat in silence, grieving not just the past, but the new divide between us. Ending 3. Reconciliation. Together we wrote a letter back to Grandma. Each of us wrote a line, thanking her for the love she gave us despite her silence. We framed it and hung it in the hallway, turning pain into gratitude, and letting her memory be about love. not lies. Reflective tone. Secrets can hide for decades, but truth is patient. It always finds its way to the light, and though it can hurt, it can also heal if we choose to let it. Warm, friendly tone. What would you have done if you had found this letter? Would you share it with the family or let the past stay buried? Tell me in the comments. I read them all, and if you enjoy emotional stories with powerful lessons, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one.